Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Trail Talk. You know the drill, insert sound effects.
Trail Talk.
If you're new to the channel, please click that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Helps me out a lot. Trail Talk is a weekly video series where I talk about running gear, shoe and gear reviews. I talk about nutrition, recovery, the runner's life, all kinds of things. So, you may have noticed that today I am not on a dirt trail, but rather a trail of a concrete type. So last week, I gave you my 3 reasons why I YouTube and asked, why do you run? Today, we're changing things up from last week and I am reviewing the Skechers Performance Ride 10 road shoe. So we're going to talk about the Skechers Ride 10 comfort, its build, its performance, and its value. But before we get into that, I think I am going to enjoy this pickle. Let's throw in some cool music and then we'll talk about the shoe. Talk to you in just a minute. Dilly style, delicious. Oh, I wanted to ask, what is your favorite food to eat on a long run? Drop a comment down below. So here are my thoughts on the shoe. First off, I have put in over 70 miles in the shoe. I'm about mile 11 or 12 of my 20-mile run today, so that'll put it up closer to 90 miles by the time I'm done. I got some notes on the specs. First off, you are looking at 8.4 ounces or 238 grams. So it's a fairly lightweight shoe, which is certainly nice. Feels good because of that weight, or the lack of weight rather. Looking at the outsole, that's the rubber on the bottom of the shoe. You have that Goodyear rubber, which is really, really nice. I would give the rubber probably a 9 or 10 out of 10. I mean, it's really quite good. Works well, certainly in dry conditions. Works really good in wet conditions, and it lasts a long time. Moving up to the midsole, you are looking at 34 millimeter stack in the heel and 28 millimeter stack in the forefoot for a 6 millimeter drop. Speaking of the midsole, right above that you have Skechers Arch Fit technology, which is their podiatrist certified insole. So that's that insole, that liner that your foot sits on top of right inside the shoe. With the Arch Fit technology, their whole idea is that it fits to your foot and gives you the support that you would need. So they scanned apparently like some 120.
Post-edit Chad here, quick correction, that would be 120,000 feet.
Came up with this Arch Fit insole. Now, for me, it took a while for it to feel like it was broken into my foot. I felt like the arch was maybe a little too high, too tall, and offered or tried to offer more support than what my foot really needed. So for the first handful of runs, I felt like it was kind of pushing up against the arch of my foot, and I didn't really like that so much. Luckily, it's a fairly soft material, so it kind of squishes and adapts to your foot fairly quickly. So I would say after about 50 miles, that arch fit technology. Really felt like it had finally conformed to what my foot needed and my foot shape was. On the upper, you have an engineered mesh. It's not like a soft fabric, it's more of a plasticky kind of feel. It's not rough or hard, and it works well. So speaking of the upper, let's talk about comfort. The shoe is actually really comfortable. They use some really nice but lightweight padding around the ankle and across the top of the foot on the tongue. The laces are wide and ever so slightly stretchy, but they're comfortable. So the whole upper really wraps around your foot well, and I never experienced any hot spots, wear, blisters, pinching, or numbness in my foot. So that's a good thing. As we move down the shoe, looking at the midsole, speaking of comfort, the midsole is very, very soft, but also responsive. It's not quite as soft as, like, say, the New Balance Rebel V2. That had a soft midsole. It kind of reminds me of the trampoline that you'd go over to your friend's house and jump on, where the springs were pretty soft, so had lots of cushioning, but also still provides some good bounce in return. You know, I really think that it's the midsole in this shoe that makes the shoe good. I mean, the outsole is great, but the midsole feels somewhat lively, but it's also just really nice for those long casual runs like today. That said, I do not recommend this shoe if you need a stability shoe. This shoe is very, very neutral. Very loosey-goosey, as Seth James D'Amour would say. Now, one of the things that I was super curious about was how this shoe compared to the Razor XS2. The Razor XS was my favorite road shoe of 2021. So moving into this year, 2022, I was very excited to get my feet in the Razor XS2, and I've enjoyed that shoe quite a bit. But then when Skechers came out with the Ride 10, and I'm looking at the specs trying to figure out, well, what in the world is the difference between the Ride 10 and the Razor XS2? Well, it all comes down to the midsole. Uppers are very similar. The outsole is identical, or nearly identical, but the midsole in the Ride 10 is softer, a little less responsive than in the Razor XS2, which also has a carbon plate, a soft or very flexible carbon plate. But the Ride 10 really seems like it's more of your daily miles. You can run fast in it if you need to, but for me, I found it most comfortable, most functional when I'm putting in just daily miles, easy miles, short or long distances. It didn't matter. So that's where I've enjoyed this shoe. So the shoe is comfortable. I would give it, probably upwards of a 8.5, almost a 9 out of 10. The build is also quite nice. It seems like they've put some overlays and just done a general overall good job on the build quality. Absolutely no complaints, no ripping or premature failure of the upper or anywhere else on the shoe. So build quality is top notch as well. I would say that's probably about a 8 or 9 out of 10. One of the things that I appreciate that Skechers seems to do well is they build the shoe just good enough. Now that's actually a good thing, because it means that they're not over engineering anything, overbuilding anything, and then consequently adding additional weight or material that's just not needed. The one thing that I do wish was on this shoe was a gusseted tongue. Although it does seem to stay in place, it doesn't move around or shift from one side or to the other while you're running. As for performance, you know, I think it depends on what your expectation is for the shoe. It's lightweight, so you might expect to use it for some tempo runs, and sure, you could do that. But like I was saying earlier, I feel like its sweet spot really is in those daily miles that you're going to be putting in for, you know, a good 80% of your run. So I'm going to give the performance an 8 out of 10. That's a pretty good rating. Now, onto the value. Value, I am giving maybe a 6 out of 10, and I feel bad saying that. That's not the best rating. The reason why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 is because while I do recommend the shoe, it's a good shoe for $145, which is the same price as the Razor X S2, by the way. I feel like that's a lot of money for what you're getting. There are a handful of other shoes that are cheaper and arguably better. For example, the Nike Pegasus, the Puma Velocity Nitro 2, which, by the way, that shoe I have really enjoyed. So $145, that's up there in the price, in my opinion. I think if they could drop this down closer to 120, 125, that would be perfect. All right, so in conclusion, I know I said that I would recommend the shoe, but would I really recommend the shoe? If you can get it on sale, yeah, go for it. It's a fun shoe to run in. That midsole is soft and responsive, making for a fun ride. You'll enjoy putting in your daily miles in this shoe. It'll work perfect for that. The upper is very comfortable. It's soft and plush where you need it. And overall, the package of the entire shoe really comes together well. So Skechers did a good job with this shoe. But at $145, I don't know if I can recommend the shoe, and I would frankly recommend you buy a different shoe for less money. And that is it for my review of the Skechers Performance Ride 10. All right, hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining me here on Trail Talk. We will see you in a week. Let me know what you would like me to talk about on the next trail run video. I haven't quite decided yet, so drop a comment. Let me know what you're interested in. And yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. I will see you next week. Remember to be consistent, express gratitude, and enjoy every mile. I know I am today. Let's get back to it. See you on the next video. Bye. I'm sure the camera doesn't do justice, but I just love the mountains. They're so pretty.